I'll go with the same route here about Lebanon. You don't have any assessment, you said, in answering many questions, but is it that you don't have it or you don't want to share it?
I don't have any public assessment to offer, no.
Okay, and because my question goes to that, you're still assessing and you're still calling diplomatically that everybody should de-escalate, but things on the ground are moving in the opposite direction. Israel is moving troops to the north. Hezbollah today said that what Israel did on Tuesday is a declaration of war. And am I fair to you if I assess from all of the answers that you give to my colleagues here, that you kind of helpless, like we're gonna call upon them, whether they want to listen to us or not is up to them?
So let me put it this way. I talked about this to some length in response to Hudson's questions earlier. Throughout this conflict, we have worked to keep the conflict from escalating. And you have seen us at times when tensions were quite high intervene with various parties and send messages to various parties and conduct diplomatic engagements that have kept the conflict from really spilling out of control and leading into regional all-out war, which, if you remember, has been one of our top strategic goals since October 7th. It's what the President and the Secretary were talking about from day one, trying to avoid, and it continues to be our top strategic goal. But of course, every country in the world has agency. Every country in the world, every entity in the world is responsible for their own decisions. The United States, no other country can dictate to any country or any entity what they're going to do. Now, we can continue to engage diplomacy. We can continue to engage in all of our best efforts. We can continue to rally our allies and partners. But of course, it's true that countries make their own decisions about their future and what they're going to do. That has always been true. It will continue to be true. It goes to the point I was saying earlier. The Middle East has been a volatile place for a long time. We have been engaged in the region for some time. And of course, since October 7th, we have been engaged to try to bring down tensions. But ultimately, yes, every country is responsible and every entity is responsible for the actions that they take.
But I mean, you just answered Heba's question about that if Hezbollah ceased attacking Israel, you will press Israel to cease attacking them.
We want to see, look, ultimately, we want to see a resolution. That's exactly what I was referring to. We want to see a resolution to the violence. That's what, when I say we want to see tens of thousands of Israelis return home and tens of thousands of Lebanese return, that's exactly what I'm referring to. We want to see calm along the blue line.
How you can guarantee, for example, to Hezbollah, if some commander in Hezbollah got a notification and he said, okay, the Americans will stop this.
Come on, you're not naive about the history of the Middle East. Know that if there are no guarantees about long-term stability, all we can do every country can do is do our best to calm a very difficult situation. Try to get immediate calm and try to build that into lasting peace and build that into regional stability. It is, of course, incredibly difficult. It's a hugely difficult process, or someone would have solved this problem a long time. But that's what we're engaged in trying to do. All right, Alex, go ahead. And then I've got about 5 minutes left because I believe the president's speaking. So if there's anything else, let me just move on because I've got 5 minutes left. And I assume there are other questions in the world people want to cover.
Different region. Starting from Anga, you highlighted Lavrov's name as an important guest. You don't expect an engagement between the secretary and him.
I do not, no.
The Finnish president yesterday went on the record calling to put Russia out of the Security Council and take away Russia's voting power. What is the official American response?
So I think that is something that people have called for at various times through the process, or various times since Russia launched or expanded its illegal invasion of Ukraine. If you look at the UN bylaws, it is something that would be incredibly difficult to achieve, if not incredibly difficult to achieve.
But if it was possible,
we are focused on things that are possible, not things that are not.
South Caucasus, Armenia yesterday announced that they apparently managed to, stop a Russian plot against Armenian current prime minister and his office. So they were trying to stage a coup in Armenia. Are you very aware of that plot, and do you have any reaction? Is Armenia, how vulnerable has Armenia been throughout this time?
So we have, we have seen, of course, and have spoken publicly to a number of actions that Russia has taken to try and destabilize its neighbors, to try and destabilize countries across Europe. We will continue to expose those plots when appropriate, as you saw the Secretary do last Friday when he talked about a Russian plot to interfere in the Moldovan election. We will continue to inform our allies and partners about those plots when appropriate. Sometimes we do it privately and not publicly, and we will continue to work with our allies and partners to hold Russia accountable for its actions.
Thank you. On Georgia, we've been discussing Georgia's Russia law multiple times, but there's another piece of legislation, a copycat piece of legislation from Moscow, which is called quote-unquote family values law, and we have already seen that they passed it, and there's also real-life consequences. There's a transgender was found murdered 2 days ago. Do you have any reaction?
So I know that they passed that law. I believe it has not been fully enacted into law, and there are questions about the ultimate status of the legislation and whether it will become law or not. But look, as we have been saying for months, that Georgia has been moving away from its stated desire and the evident desire of its people for Euro-Atlantic integration through anti-democratic actions, through crackdown on vulnerable and marginalized people, and this law is very much in keeping with that.
And finally, for me, some of us yesterday covered the signing of U.S.-Serbian energy agreement, and you guys called it strategic partnership. And hours after that, Serbia and Russia announced that they're going to have next week energy dialogue. Is the quote-unquote strategic partnership phrase overused here?
Is the what phrase?
Have you guys overused strategic partnership when
no.
it comes to energy?
No. Go ahead.